Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our brother. This is the translation of the message that he sent to me. The translation, it reads like this. Hello, how are you, Brother Nashi? I regret each and every day. I regret the night that I hit this other drunkard. This was after I had just passed Matoksthese in South Africa. On my way going to Gauteng, that was when suddenly a man, a drunkard, he was very drunk, that man, he just jumped out of nowhere. I was not even overspeeding, but because my truck was fully loaded, it was 34 tons, and I was moving at a slow pace, but I could not stop in time when this man just jumped out of nowhere. This man, Brother Nashi, I did hit him. I don't want to lie because it was too late when I saw him. I am a truck driver from Zim, and I have been doing cross-border routes between South Africa and Zimbabwe for over 10 years. I have experienced a lot on the road, but nothing could have prepared me for the nightmare that happened. This was 4 years ago, just outside of Matoksthese in South Africa. It was around 3 a.m., a time when the road was silent. It was too silent, and most of the people, they were fast asleep. I was driving through the darkness, I was heading back to Gauteng with another load that I had collected from my country, when out of nowhere a man stumbled into the road. I did not even have the time to react. He was drunk and it was too late to swerve or to stop. My truck hit him, Brother Nashi. Even though this man did not die on the spot, but you could tell from the injuries that his life, the life that he was going to live from that point going onwards, the life was never going to be the same. I was devastated, and the delay, it was just too much because the statement was taken and I had to wait for this man to be fetched by the ambulance, and the police kept on calling me, wanting to hear where I was. I waited until they had stabilized this man. Since it was not my fault, then they decided to let me go. Everyone knew that it was not my fault. Even when I was crying in the police station, they told me that it was not my fault. The police cleared me after the investigation, and the ruling was that it was an unavoidable accident since this man had jumped out of nowhere. But Brother Nashi, it does not matter. Even if right now you are driving your car, as innocent as you might be, then out of nowhere someone jumps in front of your car. If you hit that person, if you are told that the person has died, it does not matter anymore who was wrong and who was right, because you keep on blaming yourself. You keep on saying, what was I supposed to do? Should I have used another road? Should I have waited by the toll gate? What exactly should I have done? But the guilt that I kept on carrying in my heart, it was just too painful, eating me alive. But I had to keep on moving for the sake of my wife and the kids that I was taking to school. If I would say that I do not want to work anymore as a truck driver, who was going to feed and who was going to take care of my family? But the trauma of knowing that someone that you hit with your truck eventually passed away, that trauma, it is just too much. And life on the road does not stop for anyone. 4 years passed and I thought that I had left that tragedy behind me, but I was wrong. But then actually, even my boss, he knows this. When I am coming to South Africa, I can't use the N1 anymore. All that I do is that I follow what they call the Driverand road. Then when I am past Polokwane, that is when I start to use the N1 again, because I am traumatized if I pass through that place where I hit that man who eventually died just after my talks. One night whilst I was parked at a truck stop in South Africa, I saw something that chilled me to the bone. In the darkness of my truck's cabin, I saw a figure in the rear view mirror. It was the figure of a man. So I thought that it was a security, because at that truck stop they have good security. So I said, maybe it is the security who is just walking around checking if everything is in order. But something told me to look again. When I looked again, that was when I said, hey, this guy, the guy that I was looking at, it was that same guy that I had hit with a truck. I just knew that it was him. I looked closely and I saw that his face was pale white. I looked closely and I saw that his face, it was as if they had rubbed ashes all over his face and he had no eyes. It was that same man that I had hit with my truck. At first I thought that it was a nightmare. I was fatigued, but the sightings did not stop there. Every night around the same time, I would see him in my truck, just sitting in the passenger seat or standing at a distance, watching me. My heart will be racing with fear. And then I started avoiding night shifts, but it did not help because my boss will be like, push the loads. When the wheels are not moving, then the money is not flowing in, my friend. Desperate for help, that was when I visited a traditional healer. This traditional healer, I got to know about him because I had this other girlfriend of mine who is staying in Limpopo. So she was the one who helped me to locate this traditional healer, since we were going to take some soil that we had to take around Matoks. So this man was the one who was going to go and collect that soil, since he had some cousins that are staying in that small town. The healer told me the spirit of the man that I had accidentally killed was now haunting me, seeking revenge, wanting my blood. He said the only way to stop the spirit was to make a sacrifice, a life for a life. He told me that for me to survive, I had to sacrifice, Brother Nashi, my own mother, to free myself from the haunting. The words, they cut too deep. My mother was everything to me. I could not imagine hurting her, let alone sacrificing her. But the healer told me that if I could not do this, the spirit was going to torment me, and my kids, they were going to grow up fatherless, because this drunk man, when he had died, his spirit was saying, my children now, they are fatherless, so your children also, they are going to be fatherless. An eye for an eye. Since I had been living with that terror for months, I did not know what to do, and the spirit continued to haunt me. But the thought of sacrificing my mother, it was just too much. Every time when I would get into my truck, I would feel the presence of that man, and I would fear that if I do not act soon, then this spirit was going to come. This spirit was going to come and take my life away. That was when I went to that traditional healer's place, and I gave the traditional healer the go ahead. I gave the traditional healer petrol money, and he said that he was going to travel to Matoks to collect some soil. So he went there and he picked up some soil in a small bucket, and he returned back to his place. On my return trip, I had to park my truck in Lukwane, and we met, and he then gave me the soil which I was supposed to use washing myself. And after that, that was when I received the sad news from back home that my own mother had passed away. I cried so hard. I remember very well that I was loading some groceries in Gauteng when I was told that my mom had passed away. It was not easy driving back home, knowing that you were the one who had killed your own parent. I went to the funeral, and that healer from Limpopo had told me that I was supposed to return back with that same bucket, but it was supposed to be full with the soil that I would have collected from her grave. I waited until most of my relatives had departed from my mother's compound. I waited and I waited. When I saw that no one was no longer checking on me, that was when I quickly went to my mother's grave and I collected the soil, and I filled that small 9-liter bucket with the soil from her grave. And then I returned back and I placed it in my car. And when I came back to South Africa, I gave that traditional healer, and he said that he was going to sprinkle that soil around my talks. He went there and he told me that he had done everything. So it was an eye for an eye. Now this spirit is satisfied because I lost my own parent. Oh, dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brother. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. Just imagine all the rituals that they had to do. Taking soil from the grave all the way from Zim, dumping it, and also taking soil from that small town and using it when you are bathing.